Hey, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, Don. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we're about to enter May, and Cinco de Mayo
You got
is
it.
right around the corner. Thank you. And I know you're not of Mexican descent.
No.
However, like me, you probably are excited that at least we've got a holiday coming up, right?
Yeah.
Of some sort. And I plan on, more than ever, celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I mean, give me a reason, man. You know, we're at the end of the COVID. I was just told by David that we could walk outside without our masks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw something today that says California has the lowest rate of infection since the
That's true.
entire. So good news. We might open up in mid-June, I think.
What does that mean, open up?
I think just no more restrictions, indoor, no capacity, masks.
Ooh.
And New York's fully reopening in July.
Okay.
So we're on the right track.
So even before Cinco de Mayo, then I could walk outside and scream out in the air and just be like this moron out there, right? If I want.
Yeah, people are going to stare at you.
Of course, I'm like a moron all the time I go there. But I'm telling you, though, that is going to be cool. I didn't know that. I mean, you know, the worst part of this thing is the stupid mask. I mean, on my last podcast, you know, I was talking about that a lot, but I didn't know that was a free man already. So.
Well, I think the vaccination, being vaccinated helps. It keeps you safe. It lowers transmission rates, helps others. So
I got no problems. I took my part. I did it. You
yeah,
know that I did.
I did it.
Yeah,
we
I know
did.
you did. You were the first one.
We were first in line.
So today we are going to talk about what?
About relocation cases.
Now, we're going to talk about the move away queen, our resident expert. We only have, so many experts within this office, but one of the things I noticed in practicing law is once you've handled a case in a very detailed way, and I don't care if it's a DUI or if it's, a paternity case, a relocation case or move away case, once you've done it, you kind of do them over and over again, and you've done some significant ones over your career so far. So if you don't mind, I will advertise you from now on as the relocation queen.
Awesome.
Okay. But I mean, truly, you've done quite a few of them, and one of the trends that we see in these cases is that there's a custody evaluator ordered. We get into this process where we try to select the one that we think is going to be best for our case.
Yep.
And lo and behold, what happens sometimes?
Sometimes they're not the best one for your case.
Sometimes the evaluator, even though you think that they're going to be leaning your way, they go, no. I'm going to choose the other person. So we had quite a few of those in the history of this firm, and you just had a really big one where the custody evaluator said that mom, who you represented, should not be traveling or moving, I should say, to a state with the child, and recommended that the court ordered the child to be with father.
Yeah.
So at that point, how did you feel?
I mean, that was a tricky one because we chose the evaluator and she ended up going against our client. So that was a little shocking. I thought from there it would be an uphill battle, which, we kept fighting. We kept going through the motions. And ultimately, we got it. We won. Our client was able to relocate with the child.
So you get your hands on that report. I'm sure you didn't read it from page 1 to page 100, right? The recommendations are usually the last 10 pages.
I flipped to the back. What are her findings and recommendations? And yeah, it was shocking. It was not what we anticipated at all.
And really what happens at that point is the client has invested a lot of time and money, right?
Right.
And the way that the law is now is that if the court determines that the child should be in one place or the other, it's got to assume that mom's already left or dad's already left or dad's a relocation person. So there's the risk that the child is going to be with the other parent, which wouldn't make sense in a lot of cases, and especially in your case, right?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. The court is going to assume the parent requesting the relocation is relocating. The question is, does a child go with the relocating parent or stay here with the other parent?
It's black and white.
Yeah, and that's a risk also, right? If you don't get that order, if you're requesting.
Because the court can't make conditional orders to say, because they look at it, the courts of appeal have stated that they feel that it's coercion. Mom, I'm going to deny your ability to move to the state of Michigan. You're not going to do that with the child. If you want to go to Michigan by yourself, you do that.
Right. Right. And that's
Okay? You can't do that, Mom. You can't take child. But if you stay here in Los Angeles, I'm not going to change custody. You could to be the primary custodian here in Los Angeles. So Mom's like, okay, I never like to go to Vegas. I'm not a gambler. I'm feeling kind of icky the way that he's talking here. Okay, I'm staying here, right? And they find that to be coercion. So
Right.
now what we have is this black and white game now where it's like Mom's really going to Michigan.
Mom's moving.
Yeah. And if not, if the court doesn't allow the child or children to go with Mom or father, then over here, and in the case that you just did, we're not going to name names because that would be disrespectful to the process, but there was a substance abuse problem with the father.
Yes.
Right? And it was a significant one.
Yes.
Now, there was also evidence that that person had cleaned himself up and had made, large steps, but it was clear that the mother was the primary caretaker.
Yes.
Although father had a lot of time.
Yeah, that was a tricky thing. Like the orders where mom had sole custody, but dad did see the kid almost every day.
Yeah.
Short periods of time, but almost every day.
And he had a very strong and has a strong bond with his child. Yeah.
He did. Yeah, they do.
So what was the strategy then? You get this report. The evaluator says, sorry, Charlie, you shouldn't have hired me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like move-away cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your strategy what were you going to do to try to change things?
So at that point, it was let's attack the report. Let's attack the process, the report, the findings. And that's where it got really juicy, right? Because we started doing research and talking to consultants and taking depositions so that we could use that information at trial when the evaluator, for example, was on the stand.
Okay, so you took the deposition of the evaluator.
Yes.
And then also you talk about hiring experts.
Yes.
We call the evaluators 730 experts. That means witness of the court, right, pursuant to the evidence code. Then there's a 733 evaluator, which is your own personal expert to attack the 730,
Yes.
right? So that's what you did, right? You got a 733.
Yes. We got a 733 who we consulted with, and they read the report. We subpoenaed the evaluator's notes that she relied on to write her report and recommendations. So just sifting through all that information, we poked holes. This wasn't done correctly. This doesn't make sense. Where did she get this from? And ultimately, the 733 also helped us conduct
the deposition. Right.
What areas, we're not we don't really know.
Well, you might be now. So, go ahead.
So, they helped us prepare for the deposition to know what areas to get into, to question her, the methods of her investigation and things like that.
So, make a deposition, which normally is a good thing to do, 10 times stronger because you get some very, I would say, targeted questions that only like child custody evaluators, can
experts
think about and stuff. Yeah, so you get to pin them down on questions like that. And then after the deposition, use the deposition at the time of trial for what purposes?
To if the evaluator is not answering truthfully, to impeach them on the stand.
Right.
So that was really interesting because we did have a lot to impeach that evaluator with.
Yeah. It really can't overemphasize the use of a deposition in custody cases or just about any type of a case. I mean, people that don't want to spend money on depositions if they have the money, it's kind of crazy, I think. So here we've got this component. That's one of your strategies. You're going to attack the evaluator. Maybe the foremost thing that you're going to do, because that you've got to do that. Courts tend to rubber stamp evaluators, or they look at them and kind of an elevated. After all, it's the court's expert, right?
Right.
So now you've got to tell the court that the court's expert should not be believed.
Don't listen to them.
Okay. So that is monumental. Then what you have is you look at the Lamushe factor.
Right.
So can you explain what that part of it is when you're doing these cases?
Right. So that's a seminal case in relocation matters where the court considers a list of factors. And they're usually, the court considers how far is the move? How old is the kid? What's the relationship like currently between the parents? Do we think they're going to still be able to facilitate co-parenting relationships and communication? There's also, what are the reasons for the relocation? Is one parent relocating to hurt the other parent's relationship with the child? Or are there actually pretty legitimate reasons there? That's something we did really focus on in that case as well. Mom's reasons for relocating included a job offer.
But the evaluator said she didn't think it was, quote unquote, in good faith.
Right. So, but the court ultimately, reasoned that what's important is that it wasn't being done to hurt the other parent's relationship with the child.
Yeah, where the evaluator might think, well, really wasn't thought through very clearly.
Right.
We think it was kind of, done not in good faith because it was, at a whim. She just felt like going. The court didn't use that analysis, right?
No. I mean, initially, mom had a job offer. Because of COVID, that job offer expired, and we still, won the relocation because it's not how legitimate the reasons are. It's that you're not moving to hurt the relationship with the other parent. And in this case, the parents were great co-parenting relationship. They were great at communicating. Mom was not withholding. So it was pretty clear. The evaluator, the parents themselves, opposing party, they all agreed that their co-parenting relationship was great.
Yeah, I listened to your closing argument, and basically, you emphasized the fact that, using his words, she was the epitome of a good mom.
Yeah.
She was a co-parent that was top notch. If you rank the co-parenting between the two of them,
Yeah.
They fall on the upper end of it, right?
Right.
So there could be no statement, in these say factors that their mom was lacking in that regard.
Right.
Right.
So the court's going to go through the factors, as did the evaluator. She addressed which factors might be a negative or at-risk factor in that particular case. And our strategy was to flip those factors. The one area that she said was a risk area was the age of the child.
So talk about that.
Sure. So
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've done a few of these. I actually learned something from this case because I never emphasized the age of the child. So
yeah, it was interesting.
What did you learn?
So in this case, I think the child was about 6 years old, but when the request was made, he was about 4 years old. So at the time of the evaluation, the evaluator concluded that he was too young. It was an at-risk age. He would not be able to adapt well. Relocation, bad idea.
And then one good thing happened from COVID.
Yeah.
The case got delayed.
Delayed by like a year. So at the time of trial, the child was about 6. And according to a study, I can't remember the name, the Austin study.
Just think of Austin, Texas.
Yeah, the Austin study. There's an age group where children are more likely to be adaptable, and it's not going to be so hard on them, the move. And this child, bam, right in that age group. So we brought that up to the court, and it worked out.
Yeah. That was amazing to me. I didn't know that there was, so apparently from birth to 5, they're at risk.
Yeah.
If there's a relocation, according to Dr. Austin, I think it's Dr. Austin, he or she says that the children are more likely to be impacted in a negative way in their development if they move from one parent moves away from the other parent for a great distance to the child or children. Then teenagers also.
Right.
Which is interesting. So it was the in-between that was kind of the safe zone. And this child started off in the danger zone, and because of COVID, it was actually about 1.5 years, 2 years, I think, of the delay.
Yeah, it was about 2 years.
And the child was now getting closer to the age of 6, 6 or 7. Now, the child was 6, I think.
Yeah, 6.
So, I mean, now we're like real clear out of it and stuff. So,
so it's really interesting. It's really young children and then teenagers.
Yeah.
And teenagers, I don't know, maybe because they're really emotional or going through...
Involved maybe with their friends.
Yeah,
and
I think
stuff
it's
like
they
that.
have ties to their school and their friends and things like that.
I think, what happens with teenagers, they get to rebel, right? Because they know how to drive and run, and they're stronger than their parents and all the crazy stuff, And that's probably, they are at risk. I could see that. Yeah, when I think about this case that you did, it was really, a long, excruciating case. And, again, I don't mean to demean the father in this case because he really loves his child.
Yeah, for sure.
And this child needs him. And fortunately, we have a client that's going to co-parent and stuff. But it really was the right result. I mean, she was not wanting to move for vindictive reasons.
Right.
She just didn't like L.A.
Yeah.
She wasn't from here. She says, I never thought I'd be living here. I had a job opportunity, which I lost in COVID, but I
Yeah.
think I have further ones. I've got friends and there's housing up there. So it was legitimate. Now these people are having to deal with, well, this is reality now. The courts ordered this, and we have to figure out, can we afford
Right.
to
Right.
go flying back and forth, for the visitation and stuff. So that's part two
Right.
of a relocation case, right?
Exactly.
Once it happens, there's going to be a change of circumstances as to how often one or both of the parents are going to see the child, and whether they could afford it and that type of a thing.
Yeah, that's definitely the reality of the aftermath of the trial. In this particular case, it was father gets to see the child twice a month. Once he flies up, once someone flies down with the child. So at that point, yeah, can the parents afford that? A round trip flight, hotel, car rental, things like that. So it's a hard one, but it's something that I think the parents can work out since they are such good co-parents.
Yeah. My advice to left behind parents: don't give up. Don't give up your relationship with your kids. The court's spoken. You didn't get primary custody.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it won't change in the future. Custody is always modifiable.
Right.
But even if it doesn't change, hang in there, because children need both parents. So long as both parents are responsible and they're fit and they're not going to be harmful to you, be there for your child. It hurts you. It's like, a knife in the stomach, but be there, right?
Yeah, and I think with technology, it's a little easier maybe with Zoom and things like that.
A lot easier, yeah.
To actually see each other and.
Yeah. I wonder, I don't know if we've had a case or two where, well, actually I have one, had some where they're out of state and they were talking over actually one out of the country.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have to go back and ask them now that their kids are grown.
Yeah.
They do. Well, cool. Okay, so we got the relocation queen. So those people out there, just know that Stephanie is the champ. I think you're doing another very complicated one. And didn't you just pick up another relocation case? So yeah,
Yep.
Cool. You're gonna be writing a book before you know it.
Yeah, I'm in writing a study of my own.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
Of course, Don. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.